Hello, you're watching Trending with the Tennessee Tribune. I am Ashley Northington, the founder and agency director at DENOR Brands and Public Relations, on behalf of the Tennessee Tribune. And we're here to talk with a candidate for Criminal Court Clerk so that you can learn more about the folks who are running for office so that you can be informed about the issues that matter to you the most. So let's jump right in. Mr. Howard Gentry, would you please introduce yourself and tell everyone why you are running for this office?
Well, my name is Howard Gentry, and I'm running for Criminal Court Clerk, and I've been the Criminal Court Clerk since 2011. It's an office that's very important to this city. The main responsibility for the clerk is to maintain the records of the criminal courts, and we have records all the way back to the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
A lot of paper.
Sure.
And so that is our main duty, but we do so many more things, and the fact is we're responsible for collecting fees and fines and costs that are due to the courts. That some goes to Metro, but some go to other agencies, including the state of Tennessee. We are responsible for records checks, background checks. We're responsible for the bond and warrant office. When a person is arrested, that's the first place you go, and that's where the record starts. Right. And so I oversee that office also. And we do just many more things. But when I became clerk, didn't realize that there were a lot of ways that our office helps people to move beyond their circumstances and to get back into life and to live a life of dignity and a life that they deserve to live.
Okay, that sounds great. So talk to me a little bit about what types of services your office provides to help people live that life of dignity.
All righty. Well, one is a big deal that we're doing right now, and that's expungements. Mm-hmm. People don't realize, and I'm finding this out more and more, that once they come to court, that record is forever.
Sure.
And if it is not a charge that is on the do not expunge list, which is only about 4 or 5% of the charges, if that many, the records can be expunged. Now, all disposition has to be finalized. In other words, if you have probation or if you owe money or if there's something that you have to do in advance, that has to be taken care of first. But once that is done, you have the right to come into my office and request expungement for free. Now, there are certain expungements that require you to pay an expungement fee, but those are guilty charges that are allowable. And that fee is $280. But other than that, if a case is dismissed, on cost, if it's nollied, if it's just thrown out or withdrawn, all that can be expunged. And the thing is that people don't understand that once the judge says dismiss, they sometimes think that just goes away. But it stays there. So you could be picked up on a serious charge, and that charge could be rape, which is a terrible charge. It's a charge that is not expungible. And then the judge finds out during the course of a hearing that wasn't you. Well, that judge will dismiss the charge. But you'll still have, if somebody does a background check on you, that will show. It will show. It might show dismissed, but dismissed is a very small, in very small print, but rape is on a huge level. And you won't get a job. You could lose your job. You might not get housing. So I went to the extreme on that on purpose, because people have to understand that it just doesn't go away. So if anybody has any kind of charge, driving on suspended license, whatever, and your case has been dismissed, or even if you have a guilty that is a misdemeanor, that can, if you don't have over 2, that can be dismissed. Or if you have a misdemeanor and a felony, that can be dismissed if it's on the dismissed sheet. And on our website, it actually tells what can and can't. So that was a long answer to a long statement to an answer that I want to give you, and that is that when I went into that office, we were averaging 9,000 to 10,000 expungements a year. We got very proactive. We go to the community. We're averaging over 30,000 expungements a year. So can you imagine how many lives are changed by that? And then we have a driver's license law that if a person doesn't pay their court costs within a year, their license will be suspended by the state, revoked. They call it revoked, we call it suspended, but it's all the same. People don't understand that. And so there's no crime in not paying your court costs. So you can't get picked up or put in jail for not paying court costs, but after the 13th month, after the 12th month, but in the 13th month, you'll lose your license. And so people don't know it. And so what we're doing is we're putting that information out to the community, but we're also finding that there are people who just cannot pay.
Yeah.
70% of the people that come through our courts are indigent. They qualify for indigency. That's a lot of people.
Right.
And they deserve to be treated as those who can. This is what we call equity, and this is what's wrong with our criminal court system, is that we don't have equity in our system. If you can pay, then you should. If you can't pay, it shouldn't be that you don't get the same services and the same rights as those who can. You just have to go through a few more steps. So if they're able to be ruled indigent, then we recommend that to a judge and they make that determination. But if a person can pay but can't pay the whole amount, we have a system in place now where you can come into our office and we can put you on a payment plan. And we'll reinstate your license right then.
Right.
And you don't have to wait until you pay it all.
Right.
And so those are a few things that we have established since we've been there. You can now make your payments online when that couldn't be done before. And we now have e-filing for the lawyers where they won't have to come into the courts or to our office to file any type of records. They can do it in e-filing, and we can share those documents within the court system. And so that's where we've moved to. And you know, some people say, well, we want to be innovative. Well, we've gone beyond innovation. We're moving into the future as it relates to how our courts are run and how our courts are managed. And my goal is to, over the next 4 years, to have a paperless, wireless court. And that's where we're moving to.
So I love that you mentioned something about equity. So one of the things, because I'm a communicator by habit, so this is an occupational hazard, if you will, I'm always concerned about how people are getting the information. So it's really exciting to hear that although there's this, law that says if you don't pay your court costs in the 13th month, your license will be suspended and or revoked. But there are programs in place that can help mitigate that if you can't pay. What steps do you take to communicate that to the people so that they are aware that those programs are in place?
That's very important. One is we actually go out to the community. About every weekend now, we're doing expungements initiatives. We partner with churches, with community organizations, and we're going to the streets. And we actually have now purchased, we call them expungement packs, where our staff can bring a computer, a printer, and a little cube that can pick up our, what do you call it? Wi-Fi hotspot. And we're able to go and actually process the paperwork now off-site. And we've got 5 right now. We're getting ready to buy 4 more. And we're able to handle whatever the size of the group is now. So that's one way, but that again is word of mouth. On our website, we're starting to provide that type of information to them on the website. And as we are developing the website, as a matter of fact, I'll speak to the website. 3 years ago, we were one of the top 10 websites in the nation. Last year, we were one of the top 10 websites internationally. So we are starting to make our websites customer friendly. A lot of people look at the criminal justice system and think that the person before the judge doesn't deserve the same opportunities as the person that's either charging them or defending them or sitting there with them. But everybody's got a telephone. And everybody's got internet now, and everybody can get on the web. So what we're doing is we are programming our office so that if you do have a problem, you can get on your telephone, you can get on a computer, and you'll be able to communicate with us. You'll be able to get that type of information, and we'll be able to push it out to you. Now, the problem we have with pushing it out is that you can't just send it to a cell phone without permission. So our next step is to be able to get defendants to give us permission to be able to communicate with them by text.
Okay.
And we're set up now to do texting, but you can't do it unless they give you the permission.
You have to opt in.
Yeah,
right.
opt in. So this is what we're doing, because the information is the problem. So when we go out there, we tell them, let your friends know, let your family know. And everything we do in the street, we can do in our office.
Yeah.
And so that is very important to us. We're using every mechanism possible right now to inform the public of their rights, of their opportunities to be able to get beyond that that spiral of the criminal justice system.
Yeah, so tell me what you think the biggest, most pressing issue is in the criminal justice system, and how will you work to solve that issue?
It's absolutely a lack of equity.
Okay.
That's it. Equity in the criminal justice system is not there.
Okay.
In other words, if you're poor and you do not have the ability to get representation, or to make bond or bail, or to even have transportation to get to the courthouse, then you find yourself in a very inequitable position.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. It's not constitutional. It's not right. And as criminal court clerk, I'm part of that system. And I refuse to make excuses about that. I refuse to be quiet about that.
Sure.
The fact is that in our system right now, we're working on methods where people are, if they're arrested, if I'm arrested and you're arrested for driving on suspended license, if I have the money to get out, I can get out today. If you don't have the money, you have to sit in jail. We got the same charge. That's the crime, making you have to stay in jail. So we're working on pretrial release.
Okay.
That's not my office, but I'm part of that system.
Yeah, sure.
And we do kind of handle the paperwork and the management of the paperwork of it. RORs, people get out on their own recognizance on their and also the way that people are sentenced, and way that bonds are determined as soon as you come to the magistrate or the courts. The fact is that, again, I'm going to repeat it. It is unconstitutional for a person to be caught up in the criminal justice system just because they're poor.
Yep.
And it is our responsibility to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Right.
So my whole goal, I mean, it's about creating an equitable criminal justice system. First, from my own office, which I have control of.
Sure.
And then working with our judges, police department, the sheriff's department, public defender, the prosecutors, to help us collectively come up with a system that that allows people to be able to move through the system and out of the system in an equitable way. So that's, I mean, that word is it.
Yeah, so equity, that's great. I'm glad to hear you say that. I know that there are several groups, the Community Bail Fund is one of them, that are working to eliminate what they call the money bail system.
This is what we've done with them.
Yeah.
I was a part of helping to bring them to town just recently, and I have a choice of whether I charge an administrative fee or not, and we normally do charge administrative fees on bails and bonds. We don't charge. Okay. So if they use $1,000 to get somebody out on bond, they get their whole $1,000 back when that's over, less the administrative fee. Now you might consider that minor, but if I'm taking $100 every time or $50 every time they use those funds to help someone to be able to get out of jail, eventually those 50s and 100s are going to build up. Right. And it's going to take away from that opportunity. So if we call ourselves truly criminal creating criminal justice reform, then we have to minimize the way in which we tax the services so that we can truly use all of our resources in order to reform.
Sure. So, say you're elected for this 4-year term. Everything works out.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be as a criminal court clerk?
I want my legacy to be that we, as a criminal clerk office, and I will state that I have some of the greatest employees in the world.
Oh, good.
They care. They go beyond the call of duty when they're serving our constituents and our customers. But I want my legacy to be that we help to change the culture, not only of the criminal court clerk office, but also the criminal justice system, criminal court system, into a culture of service. A culture, of course, people, if they make mistakes or if they get in trouble, there is a consequence. There's a price to pay. But once that price is paid, they should not spend the rest of their lives trying to crawl out of a hole that is not even supposed to be there.
Right, absolutely.
So the fact is that I want my legacy to be that, just that we served at the highest level and that we actually helped people to become better once they have paid their price to society.
Wonderful. So now it's for the hard question.
All right.
Why should the voters elect you?
Well, I believe the voters should elect me first because I believe that I have proven to this point that I'm the best person for the job. That doesn't make anybody else a bad person or not good at what they do.
Sure.
But for this job, at this point in time, I just believe I'm the best person. I think I've proven that. I have been a community servant my entire life.
Sure. I
have been a political servant, and that's what I call myself, for almost 20 years.
Sure.
And I've served in so many areas. I've served as councilman at large, I've served as vice mayor, and I have served in other capacities that are governmentally related,
right,
to a place that has made me uniquely qualified. I worked at TSU for 15 years, but for 4 of those years, I was Associate Vice President for Technology and Administrative Services. Well, my office is technology.
Yeah.
And so this is nothing new to me. I have been a manager my entire career. I've always managed people. And human resources reported to me at Tennessee State, and I've also been a human resources director. So there's nothing in my office that I have not had professional training to do. And then I was also on the other side. I was on the Metro Council when the clerks had to come to us and have their budget approved. I chaired budget and finance for Metropolitan Council. And so not only was I councilman and vice mayor, but I was the chair of budget and finance. So I know the Metro budget.
Yeah.
I know it very well. And so I am able to function in the capacity that I have,
right,
by my professional experience. Also, I have the heart and the commitment to serve the people the way they deserve to be served. And we meet our customers where they are, and we take them from that point to a better place.
Yes,
I'm used to doing it. I started the Homeless Commission. I founded the Poverty Initiative in Nashville. I co-chair the Youth Violence Task Force. I am involved in every part of the city that affects the people that we see every day.
Right.
And so sometimes I feel a little strange blowing my own whistle.
Yeah.
But this is a whistle that has been created by the community allowing me to serve them in this way.
Yeah.
And I just want you to understand that I learned what I was doing and I learned it well.
Yeah.
And I perform it in a manner that you deserve me to perform it in, and I want to continue.
Yes, indeed. I love that. I love that response. So, you have heard it here today, folks. Thank you for watching Trending with the Tennessee Tribune. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.